carrot time. Come on, grab your carrots. We'll go to very distant plates. They're good for you, so go and grab some. The fun never ends. It's carrot time. So if you haven't guessed today's video, it's gonna be about vitamin A. Alright guys, so there's two different sources you can get your vitamin A from in general, excluding supplements. You can get your vitamin A from plants like carrots or sweet potatoes, so anything with a carotenoid. They're also called provitamin A because they have to be converted from one form into another before it's usable by the body. And then you can also obtain vitamin A from meat in a preformed form. That was redundant, but you get what I mean. So, yeah. And to add more to the complexity of vitamin A, there are other forms of vitamin A, other usable forms of vitamin A that are used throughout the body. And I'll just list them off right now and throw a chart in here just for fun. There's retinol, and retinol esters, and retinoic acid as well. Retinol esters are the storage form of vitamin A. The other three that I mentioned before are other usable forms and they perform different functions within the body. But if I say vitamin A throughout the rest of this video, just assume that it's one of those three forms that I'm mentioning, unless I specify otherwise. Just saying, just saying. Alright. So, what's vitamin A good for? Well, it's good for a lot of things, namely eyesight. So, vitamin A helps us absorb light. Yeah, I said absorb light. More specifically, it plays a role within the cone and rod cells of our retinas, and basically it kind of acts like a capacitor. Stores light for a bit, gets excited, and then some complicated hand wavy crap happens, and it eventually sends off a neural response to the brain. Then we interpret that as eyesight. Yeah, it's pretty rad though, ain't it? Nope. Vitamin A is also good for cellular differentiation. You know, that doesn't have to do with dividing necessarily. So, cellular differentiation is basically when a cell decides what type of cell that it wants to become. The human equivalent would be somebody realizing what sort of job they want to do for the rest of their lives. But when it comes to cells, let's say, for example, stem cells, just generic embryonic stem cells, right? It'd be like a embryonic cell turning into a muscle cell or a, a liver cell. It's turned into a specific cell, and vitamin A is necessary for that process. And that leads me to another point. Vitamin A is necessary for the formation of sex cells. Hey! Needed to make sperm and eggs. Bow chicka wow 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 wow. Bow chicka wow wow. Yeah, I know, it's a little immature, but yeah, you need it for to make the sex cells, and it affects their quality too. So, for the lack of vitamin A would affect their quality. Of course, it's also necessary for embryonic development in general. So, and after and for postnatal development as well. So, yeah, good thing to keep in mind. Helps you build up, literally. And to add on to that embryonic development part, a lack of vitamin A can result in congenital deformities. Just throwing that out there. I Vitamin A is also good for gene regulation. More specifically, and as far as I know, lipid metabolism. So, think brown fat, white fat. Alright? And if you guys are unfamiliar with brown fat and white fat, brown fat's basically the fat that is burned to help keep you warm. And white fat is the storage form of fat. Fat. Yum. Does that sound? Does it? Man, I can only think of the implications you guys were thinking of. Whew. Okay. Vitamin A is also implicated in bone health. There is an increased risk of bone fractures for people who get too little or too much vitamin A, at least according to some studies. And the mechanisms behind that are not fully understood, according to the sources I was reading. But I'm pretty sure if I keep looking for it, I'll find it one day. And then I'll tell you guys. So don't cry. Don't cry. So did I say vitamin A was implicated in things? Let me add one more thing to the list. Anemia. Vitamin A is implicated in anemia or lack of red blood cells. So people or animals that have a reduced amount of hemoglobin who then take supplements of vitamin A have a have a pretty good chance of increasing their serum iron and their serum vitamin A. So there's that. And another really weird fact that I found out, which that was totally neato, was that vitamin A plays a role in the synthesis of glycoproteins, which quote function on the surface of cells to affect intercellular adhesion, aggregation, recognition, and other interactions. So the way I understood that was it helps act as a glue. It also helps act as a mediator for cell signaling. And I thought, damn, that's neato. It's kind of like the glial cells in the brain. Helps keep the neurons together. But this is more general. Looking at my book again. Yeah, I think that's pretty effing cool. Vitamin A also supports good skin health. If you do a quick Google search of retinol, you'll pretty much find nothing but skincare creams and stuff like that. It's like, where are the studies at? Goshers. Okay. So, I want to leave you guys with one last tidbit about vitamin A. It is helpful for bolstering our immune system. It is an antioxidant that helps scavenge free radicals in the body most of the time. And it also helps reduce the genotoxic effect of drugs. So it helps prevent DNA damage. And one last thing I can think of is it helps decrease the risk of cancer. It helps decrease the chances of papillomas from turning into carcinomas or cancer. So yeah, I guess I'll leave you guys with that and we can talk about footage. Alright, you guys are probably wondering, where the F do I get all that vitamin A? Simple. You can start eating things like sweet potatoes, carrots, spinach, kale, among other things, bell peppers too. Even broccoli, asparagus, tomatoes as well. That's among the vegetable-like items you can eat. Like I mentioned before, you can also get your vitamin A from meat products. So think along the lines of beef liver, cod liver oil. Yeah, pretty much that's it. I mean, you could get vitamin A from other meats, but you're mainly gonna get it from liver or cod liver oil. So yeah, and keep in mind that the meats are rich with vitamin A. At least the ones I specified. I mean, you can get your vitamin A solely from vegetables, but if there's one thing to keep in mind, it's the carotenoid to retinol conversion rate. So it varies a lot between people. It could be as low as 10% to as high as 90%. So yeah, just keep that in mind. Whereas if you got your vitamin A from meat, well, it's already pre-formed. You just need to take it out of its storage form. So that's one thing to keep in mind, I guess. Yeah, and liver tastes like ours. I know I bitched about this in another video, but liver tastes like arse. At least by itself. Like, I might put up a recipe one day, because I actually managed to make it taste good. It's a pretty simple recipe. Just throw some tomato sauce in there with some garlic and some other stuff, and bam, you have a tasty dinner. Or tasty-ish. Liver is still pretty gnarly though. It's workable though. It's workable. And yeah, that's it. I'll leave you guys with that. I hope this video was enlightening, and I will catch you guys later. See ya.
It's carrot time. Come on, grab your carrots. We'll go to very distant plates. Fuck! Oh my god, okay.